Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I was daydreaming. Am I late? Maybe a little bit. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you're enjoying your long weekend. I think it's President's Day in the U.S., Family Day through much of Canada. Alberta has Heritage Day. So yeah, a lot of people enjoying this as a holiday Monday. Us here in BC, we have Family Day. So hopefully you're enjoying your long weekend. Just a few things I want to let you know. Oh, this popped up there. Car Cost Canada is the sponsor of the channel. Don't forget, go to Car Cost Canada when you get a moment. You can do it now, you can do it later. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH, the name of this channel, and you automatically become an expert member. You get extra searches when you're searching for the cost of a car, and that's what Car Cost Canada is. You get to know the actual cost of a car when you go into the dealer. That's powerful information to know what they actually paid for the car, plus all the discounts and rebates and incentives that are in place that particular month. So you get extra searches and they don't time out. So if you signed up today and you weren't in the market for 6 or 8 months, you can do that later. Also, the Boxster and Cayman GTS video went up yesterday. You can watch that, and that is a lot of fun. Had a chance to do that in Portugal. Also, the Macan GTS was last week. What's coming up soon? Next Saturday, or this coming Saturday, I guess, I'm flying to Las Vegas for the launch of the C8, the Corvette. So we're going to get a chance to drive the Corvette on city streets around Las Vegas, and then we're going to go to the racetrack on the Sunday and drive it on the track, which will be fantastic. Then I come back for a few days, head up to Whistler for the Canadian launch of the Volkswagen Atlas Sport Cross, which will be fun. Then I'm home for the weekend. Then I fly to Geneva for the Geneva Motor Show. And then the end of March, I'm off to Munich for the Audi e-tron Coupe launch. So lots of things going on, and I hope that you'll be watching all of those videos when we get going. Okay, let's get into the Q&A. Wrench Doozer, excellent review of the Macan GTS. Do I want one? Yes. Can I afford one? Sadly, no. Here's the thing, though. The one thing you have to keep in mind is these are great cars to buy used, and I'm a big fan of buying what are called certified pre-owned, especially premium German cars. So yeah, maybe not brand new, but maybe used. Eric says, hey Zach, I bought and financed a used A4 all-road last month, and I want to now sell it privately. How would the transaction work if I don't fully own the vehicle? Great car, but I need to get rid of it. So what you can do is you can find a buyer and get the dealer to do what's called an in and out. So they do the paperwork, they pay off the loan that you have for this car, and then they transfer the title to the new owner. Now, you're going to have to pay a fee to do that. So that's typically called an in and out at a dealership. So go back to the dealer that you bought the car from and say, hey, listen, if I can bring a buyer to the table, will you do an in and out? And typically they charge about $500 to get that done. The other thing you could do is you could work with the potential buyer. Say you listed it on Craigslist, Kijiji, or something like that, and you got somebody that was interested in buying your Audi A4. You could say to them, listen, there's a lien on this car. I will take your money, release the lien, and then pass it over to you. So it's probably easier to work with a dealer because they know how to do that a lot easier. Bruce says, we bought a car years ago for our older son, turned 16, to drive him and brother to school. We were horrified at range of insurance cost. A 1-year-old Elantra was half the cost of a 1-year-old Sentra. Yeah, well, that's something you have to consider when you're buying a car, is what the insurance costs are. So yeah, really, especially for young people with 16, 17, basically under 25, insurance costs, as you know, if you're in that age group, are really, really high. So yeah, shop not only the car, but the insurance cost. Hey Zach, where do you come down on the V6 Camry versus the 2-liter turbo Honda Accord? Like, which would you buy? There's no wrong answer here. Yeah, the turbo 4-cylinder Accord is a lot of fun to drive. It has a 10-speed automatic transmission. You get the 8-speed over with the Camry. You get the 3.5-liter V6. It really comes down to which one you like. There is no wrong answer. They're both fine. The V6 is sort of the last of that, and probably will be the last V6 Camry. Now you can look at it this way: which one, if you're gonna buy it and keep it for like 15 years, you might be a better shot to go with Camry because that engine is bulletproof. If you maintain it properly and look after it, it'll do everything just fine. And there's no reason to say that the Accord won't be just as reliable. But if you're looking at technology and what's in the car, you know, there's less technology in the old 3.5 liter 6-cylinder versus the 2-liter turbo. So what it comes down to is buy the one you like, drive them both, see which one resonates with you. Noise, quiet, comfort, all of those things. There is no wrong answer. What do you think of the Infiniti Q50 as a purchase? I know the infotainment sucks, but darn, those cars look good and they're very cheap to buy used. Yeah, and also cheap to buy a new. Once again, that's where your Car Cost Canada comes in. I guarantee you there is an incentive on a Q50 every single month of the year. Now, if you buy a used Infiniti Q50, yes, it's an older design. I think the car came out in 2011 or 2012, so it is definitely long in the tooth. But, you know, same thing again. You've got a proven and reliable 3.5 liter 6-cylinder engine. You've got automatic transmission. The infotainment system is a bit slow and boggy, but if you're getting it at a discount, used, remember when you sell it, you're going to have to give it at a discount. Cars that have depreciated a lot since new do not stop once you buy them. That depreciation curve continues. So yes, there are some good deals on used Infiniti Q50s, but you're not going to get your money back the way you would, say, with the previous car like a V6 Camry. It's just going to hold its value better. Josh pipes in and says, I've got a Q50S that I just got back after a week with a 330i loaner. It's a very comfy car and has good power for the money, but the 330 is way ahead in terms of tech and feel. I want to get back, I guess, into it in time. So there you go. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Q50, but it's old technology in comparison to what's out there now. Hi, Zach. Any thoughts on the look of the new Kia Sorento? I like it. I've seen pictures of it. I think it looks good. Yeah, I think here's, I was following today. I was taking CRV back to Honda, and I was following the new Kia Forte, not coupe, not the GT or Forte 5, but the sedan, and it looked really good. And the back trunk and the way the lights were very Audi-esque. And as you know, Peter Schreier, former head of Audi design, is now at Kia and Hyundai. And when you look at what they're doing with the designs of their cars, I think Kia and Hyundai have some fantastic products, really good design. I saw the GV80, the Genesis new SUV at the Toronto Auto Show on Thursday, and I was looking around it, and I got to tell you, that is going to sell like crazy. So the Koreans are producing some wonderful, wonderful cars, and I think Sorento will be just like the rest of them. They're doing very, very well. The Straight Pipes say, hey, see you on Saturday. Yeah, I saw those guys quickly. It was very busy. We're there for Media Day at the auto show, and because I live on the West Coast, and the Toronto show for the media is everybody's mixing and mingling. I haven't seen some of those people in a while. I was getting pushed and pulled talking to everybody. So yeah, I'll see Yuri and Jacob down in Vegas on the weekend. Mike Shaw, just curious, what's your opinion of the Honda Crosstour and why it failed? Well, the interesting thing about the Crosstour is that it was, the roof line was really weird on that. The headroom in the back was not that good, and it needed better brakes. It was just an odd looking car. It wasn't the right car for the right time. I think that they tried to take something and turn it into something else without really thinking it through. What was the Acura one that looked like a spaceship? That was even worse. But yeah, they were not very well received. The styling was wrong. They didn't actually, like when for example, on the Acura one, they tried to make it into a sporty car, but it was really just an MDX underneath. So yeah, it was the wrong car for the wrong time. What do you think is better, a Huracan or a Ferrari 488? I don't know. Don't have the answer to that one. Whichever one you can afford. Get two, one of each. Hey, Zach, wrist check. What are your thoughts on the new Mercedes GLB? Wrist check, I'm wearing my Zodiac Seawolf. You know, the interesting thing is, this is maybe, I think, the second cheapest watch I own, and I've been wearing it the most. I really like it. I've got to get my hands on the GLB. So the GLB is this fun little utility vehicle, even has the ability to have a third row. It's kind of, yeah, I got to get my hands on it. I don't think there's one in the press fleet just now, but I will get it. So wait until then. Are Hyundai and Kia cars good to drive and buy? Here's the thing. A lot of people are not aware, but if you follow the auto industry, you know that Kia and Hyundai and Genesis, the luxury brand of Hyundai, have absolutely shot the lights out when it comes to quality scores. Right at the very top. Beating Lexus, beating Toyota, beating Mercedes-Benz, beating Porsche, right at the very top. So their quality scores have been year after year remaining very, very strong. I think their cars are really nicely designed. You get a lot of content for the money, and they're fine to drive. Now, there could be some nitpicks with some of their vehicles, like they put a CVT in instead of a versus regular automatic. But everybody's doing that. They're trying to affect fuel economy. So. Yeah, I have no problems suggesting people buy Kia and Hyundai cars at all. And other brands that I recommend and a lot of people disagree with, General Motors makes some really good vehicles. Like their Chevy Equinox is a great product. And I always say, if you're looking for a compact utility, have you tried the Chevy Equinox? And a lot of people are like, I wouldn't have even thought of it. Go try it. It'll surprise you. It's actually a good car. So yeah, there's lots of brands that have perceptions that are not justified. Like time passes quickly. Every year, new products, new innovations, new techniques in making vehicles, and a lot of companies benefit from that. Some do not, though. Hi, Zach. Winter tires or all-season tires? I'm a big believer in winter tires. I believe that you should probably, if you're not going to get straight winter tires, you need to go to an all-weather tire, which is basically a detuned winter tire. It has to have the mountain snowflake symbol on the side, which means it's passed a slip test by the Rubber Association. So it has to have achieved a certain amount of grip. So if you're not going to buy winter tires, don't buy all seasons, buy all-weather tires. They're different and better. Hi, Zach. Snoop Dogg. Nice. Hi, Zach. Really like your Q&A show. Very informative. Thank you. Do you have any thoughts on BMW Series 2 M240 convertible? Thank you. The 2 Series is the best car in the BMW lineup, period. For the money, you're getting a lot of car, especially if you get the 240. I mean, that is a wonderful engine, loads of power, a really nice, small, tidy package. The 2 Series is what the 3 Series used to be years ago. The 240 is what the M3 used to be years ago. Now, you could get a real M2, but I don't believe that you need it. I think that the 240 is fantastic. It's available with rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, manual, automatic. If you get manual, I believe you have to just get rear-wheel drive still in the 2 Series, but double check on that. Yeah, there is nothing wrong with it. It is hands down the best value in the BMW lineup. And there's quite a few of them used. So if you don't want to pay new money, you can get a used one and get a certified pre-owned, okay? Have you ever driven a Holden? If so, which model and what was your experience? GM announced they'll stop producing them. Yeah, just came out this week. General Motors has officially announced that the Holden brand is gone, dead, kaput, no longer. For those that don't know, Holden was the General Motors division in Australia. And they used to have, I mean, Australia used to have quite a robust auto manufacturing sector for that continent. And it all went away. And I don't believe that there's any car manufacturing left in Australia. Now, I'm sure there could be some Australians who are going to correct me, but from what I know, no. And Holden is now officially gone. So the car, I didn't drive a Holden badge car. What I did drive was the Pontiac G8. The Pontiac G8, I love that car. So it was a rear-wheel drive, sort of small to mid-size sedan that was built on a Holden platform. And it was a great car. I can remember driving, we did the launch in New Brunswick, and driving the G8 with the V8 engine. Did it have the V8? I'm trying to remember now. Anyway, the higher performance one. And got pulled over by the RCMP in New Brunswick, and the guy let me off. Yeah, I thought it was a great car. So that's as close as I ever got to driving a Holden was the G8. Hey, Zach, what do you think of the new Kia Seltos? Any idea on trims and features we'll be getting in Canada? I was invited to go and drive that next week down in Texas. I can't go. I've got too many trips back to back. Now, a lot of people are thinking that this is basically the Hyundai Venue, but rebadged as a Kia. That is not the case. I actually had a really nice chat with Reg, who's the head of product planning, or actually not head of product planning, but he's the guy who coaches people at the dealerships on these cars, and had a nice conversation with Reg at the auto show in Toronto, and he told me all about the car. So you get a larger engine than you do with the Venue. You get a 2-liter or 1.6-liter turbo. So the way you need to look at the Seltos is basically that's Kia's version of the Kona, okay? But a little bit bigger. And I love the Kona. I think that the Kona is one of the best products I've driven in the last few years. So I have no doubt that the Kia will be sort of along the same lines. I don't have all the trims and specs in front of me. There's going to be more information coming. What I would suggest is next, so not this Thursday, but next Thursday, is when the Canadian launch of that vehicle is taking place in Texas. So there'll be lots of journalists there driving it at that point. So there'll be lots of reviews coming out just after that. So within the next 10 days, there'll be plenty of reviews about the car. But that's what I can tell you right now. CPO 18 and 19 E63 sedan and wagon can be found used at around $90,000 to $105,000 dollars, I should say. Still not cheap, but what a car. Yeah. Thanks, Josh, for piping in on that. Oh, the ZDX, that's what the Acura thing was called. Somebody just put in here. Glad he says the ZDX. What a crap car that was. Javier Rico, hey, Zach, looking at a Q3 2020. Funny enough, since the base model is so well equipped, it makes the price of the RAV4 Hybrid XSE. Is the Q3 a car worth financing? Worried about reliability. Here's the thing. I think that the Q3 from Audi is the best car in the compact or subcompact utility space, in the premium space. So the two that I like the best are the CX40, the XC, what is it? CX, XC, XC, I always get them mixed up. The Volvo 40, XC40. I'm getting my Mazdas and my Volvos mixed up. So the XC40 and the Q3, those two, in my opinion, are the best of breed. And I think that the Q3 is, there's no problem with that at all. You basically got the GTI engine, you've got an 8-speed automatic transmission, and you've got the short wheelbase of the Tiguan that we don't get in North America. So they've taken basically that, the shorter version of the Tiguan that's sold in Europe, and turned it into an Audi Q3. And I think that hands down, it is the winner, in my opinion, for that class. In fact, I think a lot of people would be smart if they're shopping for a Q5 and you don't need the space, try the Q3. It'll really surprise you. They did a nice job when it comes to styling, really nicely finished on the inside. To your point, I did exactly the same thing. I went online and I looked at the calculator for what was in the car, and I didn't even really need to add more than 1 or 2 items to get it configured the way I wanted, and it's a really good value. So I agree with you. Instead of getting a high line of a mainline brand, you can get sort of a lower end version of the Q3 and be very happy. My wife wants a new RAV4 Hybrid. It will be our third RAV4. Her 2012 has just over 100,000 kilometers. What's the amount of driving over 8 years? Does the hybrid make sense from an economic perspective? Well, what you need to do is get out a calculator. It's $1,400 difference, okay? So if you're buying, I'm trying to remember what the price is. It starts at $33,000 basically for the hybrid, which is only $1,400 more than the gasoline equivalent. Can't remember what the trim is, but you can look it up quite quickly online. So $1,400, it's not going to take that long for you to make that up in fuel economy. So if you're doing 100,000 kilometers over a long period of time, yeah, you're gonna save that money in the long run. The thing is, here's one thing to consider. I do believe, due to scarcity of that product in the marketplace right now, I'm hearing stories of up to 6 month waiting to get the RAV4 Hybrid. When you ever want to sell that, there's going to be a good number of people willing to pay top dollar to buy your hybrid over the gasoline version. If I was buying a RAV4 right now, I probably would get the hybrid. I think it's a no-brainer. Zach, have you had a chance to review the GV80? It just was revealed like not in the last few weeks. The car is not coming until the summer. I talked to Genesis when I saw them last week, and from what I understand, the launch of the GV80 will be in June. So we're a ways away from that, but I think it's going to be worth the wait. I really think that the GV80 is going to be a real kick in the nuts for Lincoln. Lincoln is doing a lot of things right with the Aviator, but I got to tell you, I think the GV80, and you look at that, I think GV80 has it for just the refinement. I looked at that car. I looked at the materials, the carpets, the trim, the door jambs, the bottoms of the doors. The fit and finish and the feel of that car is first rate, like absolutely first class. So it's going to be something that's going to get attention in the auto industry for sure. What do you think of the Kia Optima? The thing is that these mid-size cars are not selling, okay? They're not. I mean, all of them, you basically, the way it comes, it's Camry, Accord, and then everybody else. So these ones sell the best, Camry and Accord, and then everybody is so far down below that there has to be some compelling reason for you to buy it over those two cars. Often it's price, often it's features. So if you like the car and you like the way it's equipped, and that's one of the things that Kia does particularly well, is throw a lot of content at their cars, go for it. But this is really, once again, where you need to consider carcostcanada.com, because you would not know all of the discounts and rebates that are in place unless you had a service like this. Like, you could thumb through the newspaper, you could listen to the radio ads, you could go online and look at their website, but you're not going to get the whole story. I guarantee you, for most mid-size sedans, there are rebates and incentives in place every single month, because this is a category of car that is not selling particularly well. So go and have a look for yourself and see what you can find out. While you're at Car Cost Canada, type in Motormouth as the user code and you get extra searches for yourself, okay? So do that. What is the closest car that drives like an E90 BMW 3 Series but with the reliability of a Japanese car? That's a good question. An E90 3 Series, but with the reliability of a Japanese car. I would say probably the ISF would probably be the car to look at, the Lexus. Have you seen the Europe-only Hyundai i30N Fastback? It's a crime they didn't bring it here instead of the Veloster N. Yeah, I know. This is their hot hatch that they have for the European market. I think there was a missed opportunity. I don't see that there is there probably could be an opportunity to right that wrong. Veloster N is a great car. I have yet to see one on the road. I have not seen one on the road. I saw a beautiful Civic Type R today. I've yet to see a Veloster N. I agree with you. I think that's a missed opportunity. Javier says, reason I mentioned the RAV4 Hybrid XSE compared to the Q3 is due to the long waits for the RAV4. Might not get the car in time for my lease end. I think that the Q3 is a great car. I think you should really consider that. Acura ZDX people are jumping in here. Hey, Zach, will you be reviewing the 2021 Kia Sorento shortly after it's shown on March 3rd? Yeah, it won't be shortly after, because the car, when it's shown, takes a while for it to come into the market. Because, yes, it's going to be shown. I'm just trying to remember what the event is. Yeah, but they're going to be showing it. What are your thoughts on the GT4 versus the GTS 4.0? So that's the... the Cayman and the Boxster, or sort of the Cayman, I guess, for the GT4. A little bit more power, not much. And the way that the car is dialed in is more track focused, okay, for the GT4. The GTS is just a really good sort of everyday car. So it really comes down to what you want it for. If you're somebody that wants this car to go on the weekends and once in a while go to the track, well, the GT4 would probably be the way to go. If it was just to go and drive it, to commute in it and have some fun on the weekends, the GTS. There's no wrong answer there either. Personally, for me, I probably would go with the GTS. I don't really think I need to go all the way to the GT4. But yeah, I think that the wonderful engine, It's just a beautiful sound. It's really what the Cayman and the Boxster always were, which was a flat six engine, and now at least you can get it. We don't have pricing yet. It's not going to be released for ordering until the summer, so we'll have to wait and see. But what you can do is look at the previous GTS and figure out from there. Carlos says, hey, my wife and I are thinking to lease a Stinger or a G70. It's only for us. What are the pros and cons of both? Well, one is bigger than the other. Okay, the Stinger is a bigger car. It's about 400 pounds heavier. And if it's just the two of you, probably the G70 is the way to go. Stinger is a neat car though. It's got a huge cargo area. It reminds me a lot of my last car. I had an Audi A7 with the big lift gate at the back, very similar silhouette and style. Another one you might want to consider is the Arteon from Volkswagen. Very similar look and feel to the Stinger and the Audi A7. So yes, you get a lot of space in the cargo area. You get a fairly roomy back seat and more of a touring car feel. When I drove the Stinger, even on its most assertive suspension setups, I found that it was a little bit floaty for my taste. You might like that. The G70, on the other hand, shorter wheelbase, lighter car, no lift gate, a little more taut and more fun and more agile. So if it's just the two of you, probably the G70 is the way to go. And there's going to be a facelifted Stinger coming. Once again, I was speaking to the fellow there from Reg from Kia, and the indications are it's going to be a mild facelift. That's it. They're not going to do a whole lot to Stinger in light of the fact it's a low volume car. So it's probably going to be cosmetics, lights, things like that. Tom Chan says, will you be uploading some of your good old street test videos? I think I only have one video, a VHS of street test. When I started reviewing cars, I started reviewing cars in 1992, and then I was working for a radio station, and I was doing some hits on, they had this sort of teen show. It was cable. It was like Wayne's World was on cable. So I was doing this sort of like from the radio station, like here are the top 10 songs or something like that. And then I was speaking to the camera guy and I said, hey, I've got this idea for doing an automotive show. Can I come in and speak to your boss? And he said, yeah, come on in. So I went to Delta Cable, a family-owned cable distributor in Delta, Sawasan, and the Sunshine Coast. And I said, I want to start a car show. And they said, great, you start next week. That's how easy it was. And I did that show for 8 years, and I won a national award, the Galaxy Award. We won a few awards. One time, so this street test show was 1.5 hour once a month. And Pete Klein was my camera guy and my editor. And we used to air those shows in Delta, on Delta Cable, Delta, Sawasan, Sunshine Coast. And people still remember that show, which is pretty funny. So that's how I got my start in TV doing street tests. This was long before the internet, long before YouTube. Now anybody with a camera, you can get a camera and a laptop and a YouTube channel and away you go. Back in those days, that wasn't the case. So I have one of those videos. And I actually watched it. It wasn't very good. You learn a lot. Ben Mizrahi, driving a 2018 2-liter Passat TSI, fed up with premium octane gas instead of regular. Now car feels more responsive. Fed it with 94 octane instead of regular. It feels more responsive. Is it my psyche or slight performance switch to premium fuel? I'm trying to remember, did that car need premium gas? Maybe not, but yeah, hey, listen, if it makes you feel better, drive it once in a while with premium fuel. Go for it. It could just be that placebo effect, but probably not. I understand that the Mark 8 2020 GTI will come from Germany. Any hopes of getting a two-door manual? I don't think so. So what's going to happen with Golf is the Golf is going to be made in Mexico, and then when they switch to the Mark 8 Golf, it's going to be repatriated back to the Wolfsburg factory in Germany. That's the main factory. Okay, they're going to be producing GTI and Golf R out of there as well. So all of the Golfs that we get will be coming from Germany. That opens up production for Jetta in Jetta in Mexico, and a new smaller SUV along with Tiguan. So you're going to get more SUV capacity in Mexico for the North American market, and the Golfs are going back to Germany, repatriated to the main factory. I really don't think we're going to get a two-door manual GTI. They dropped the two-door, or the three-door, I guess you call it, GTI several years ago. Very, very low take rate on that car. Most people wanted the five-door version, and now they can make them look so much better. Yeah, I really don't believe that's going to happen. Now, there could be a case for some specialty cars. One that comes to mind would be finally to get the Volkswagen Golf R Sport Wagon. Wouldn't that be great? To get that here, that'd be cool. Test drove the C43 and found it overly stiff, even in comfort mode. Is this normal for AMG cars? I totally agree with you. What I encourage you to do is go onto the channel and do a search of the C43. I did it with the wagon and then with the C300 wagon. So they were done about a year apart from each other, and that was my takeaway from the C43 wagon when I drove it. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I thought that the suspension was a little bit too crashy, even in its lowest settings. Now, so a C43 is not a real AMG car, okay? It's not one man building one motor in a Voltabach and putting it in the car. That's where they do the V8 AMG cars and the larger engines as well. Now, it's still tuned at a Voltabach. They still tune the cars, meaning the suspension calibrations and the transmission calibrations and everything are done by AMG, but it's not the real engine, okay? But I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think that the C300 is a better everyday car, especially for parts of the country where you have a lot of really uneven pavement and you have potholes. The C43 might not be the best way to go. For practicality, which is better, an Audi Q7 or a Volkswagen Atlas? If you're just looking at pure, basically space, Atlas hands down is going to be the car to get, okay? So I think that you need to really go and test them both. You're spending a lot more money to get the Audi product, and I think that you're giving up some space in the third row, and especially cargo area when that third row is up. Now, you don't typically drive with all three rows of seats up all the time, but if you do once in a while, then consider the Atlas. Here's the thing is, you can buy an Atlas fully loaded and still have a lot of change left over from a base model Q7. The engine is a VR6 in the Atlas, and it's a proven bulletproof engine. However, it uses more gas. Wouldn't you think that it would be fantastic if the Honda Civic Si would have a dual clutch transmission? Yeah, I think that if you want that, really, you can get it in the ILX. The Acura ILX has the old Honda Civic Si engine and a dual clutch. Now, I totally agree with you. They could easily take that dual clutch that's in the ILX and put it and marry it with the SI. But I think that's one of the sort of endearing sort of charms about the Civic Si is it's only sold with a manual transmission. But if you do want it, you can get it in the Acura lineup. And that engine, by the way, the 2.4-liter engine is beautiful. That is a very nice car to drive. The only downside to the ILX is that the interior is dated, it's showing its age, and it needs premium gas, or premium gas is recommended. So give that car a shot with the dual clutch. It's a lot of fun to drive. It was a car that I really thought was a surprise, so give it a whirl. Mercedes-Benz GTR and Auto Trader has fallen huge in price. Any reason why? The car looks amazing inside and out. I would say, Raj, probably the biggest factor for used cars like that is that very expensive to maintain. And the GTR doesn't have the reputation and the reliability and the long-term track record of buying a 911. For example, you go and buy a Porsche and you look after it and get it serviced regularly, they're pretty reliable. Like, I mean, they really, really, really are. The GTR has only been out for a few short years, so the reliability surrounding that car is maybe still a question mark. That's the only reason I can think that it's going down in value. Have any automotive journalists crashed on media drives? Oh, yes. Yes, they have. I don't want to name names, but yes, it does happen from time to time. Now, no journalists I know, but I was on the 718 launch in Portugal about 4 years ago. It's funny because they had the Cayman and the Boxster launch in the exact same area in Portugal 4 years later, so near Estoril and Lisbon. So 4 years ago when they brought out the four-cylinder Cayman and Boxster, I was driving along, and I was driving, had my passenger with me, and we come up on this beautiful yellow, speed yellow, Boxster in the ditch, and both sides of the car are sheared off, and two Russian guys standing there. And I said, what the hell happened? And they said, oh, they tried to pass a tractor on a blind corner as a truck came around, and then they tried to thread the needle and go between them, and they got sandwiched between the tractor and the truck, and then ended up in the ditch. And they were like, I said, do you have a phone number of someone to call? It's okay, we call. They didn't even think it was a big deal. I'm like, you just duffed a brand new car, which probably was a very early production model. But anyway, it does happen. I'll let you in on a secret. Typically, on these media launches, the Russians are the last wave of journalists. So you have different countries coming on different dates. Our group was Canada, and what was the other group that was with us? I can't remember. Then the next wave after us for this particular launch were the Germans. And apparently, from what I've heard, they often put the Russians last because they're very hard on cars. Do you think the Arteon is a good buy as a used vehicle? I assume they will depreciate a lot. Well, someone's got to buy one. I told Thomas Tesla from Volkswagen Canada point blank, Arteon is a great car. I love the design. I love the way it drives. It's a nice size. I like everything about it except the price. I think it's about $10,000 too expensive. And yeah, so keep an eye out for one that's coming off lease, a year or 2 years lease, and get one. Any insider info on the new 2020 Tundra? I think you mean Tundra. But yeah, we are waiting and waiting and waiting for information on the body-on-frame Toyota trucks. They need to do Sequoia, Tundra, 4Runner, all of them need to be redone. HRV, CHR, or Sportage, or Venue. Your money, what would you choose? I would get the Hyundai Kona. That's the one I would buy. None of those. I'd get the Kona. John says, hey, Zach, congratulations on your move to Motoring TV. Just want to get your opinion on insurance here in British Columbia. I drive an 18 Durango, $235 a month for insurance. So can you say hi to Callie and CJ? Thanks. There you go, done. I don't know what your question is about insurance. The good news is we're getting a new insurance scheme in British Columbia next year, which apparently is going to drop premiums by 20%. So I'm good with that. Silent Storm, is Porsche durable like Toyota is? I would say for the most part, yes. Now, it is a much more expensive car to make. It's a much more expensive car to maintain. But if you do maintain a Porsche and keep up on the maintenance, they are very reliable. And just like Toyotas and Lexus products, they hold their value incredibly well. So I call it the dollars in, dollars out. You buy a Porsche, you maintain a Porsche, you sell a Porsche, you get a lot of your money back. Okay, so it's a different level of pain. Okay, owning a Toyota is a very low level of pain. You buy it, you change the oil, you get it serviced. It doesn't cost a lot to service it. Doesn't cost a lot for tires and brakes. And then you trade it in and you're going to get all your money back. All of those same things are true except for the cost. The cost of the service is more expensive. The tires are more expensive. The brakes are more expensive. All of those maintenance items are a much higher level of pain than owning a Toyota. But if you do the maintenance and you have a good mechanic and a good technician, they can be very reliable. Now, not all of them are the same, but a lot of them are very well done. So that's my answer. Yes, they can be very reliable, but expensive to keep running. My last question, will your reviews fit in an episode of Motoring, replacing Graham's test drive? No. Graham, the whole Motoring TV crew is staying the same. I am just an addition to this. Probably look for me to be more of a replacement, not a replacement, but an accompaniment to what Brad Diamond does. So Brad Diamond, it's his show, Motoring TV. He started with his wife Isabel years ago, and they have Motoring TV on TSN. I'm going to be coming in and doing the segments really that Brad does. For example, I'm going to be in Las Vegas this coming weekend for the Corvette launch. I will be recording a segment that I will use here on YouTube, but also will be using for Motoring. Does that answer your question? Graham is not going anywhere. RAV4 Prime will be worth the wait, I guess. My prediction on the RAV4 Prime, I asked the Toyota executives for the price, and they were kind of cagey on it. So here's the way to look at the RAV4 Prime. This is for the Canadian market. So the RAV4 Prime has a electric-only range of, 53 kilometers, right? So that's not bad. That's going to get you to work and most of the way home just driving on electric. But then after that, it reverts to the already very reliable Toyota hybrid system. So we all know that in the RAV4 now. We just have more electric range. So here's the way to look at it. The Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV in Canada, it's right around $43,000. The RAV4 Prime, the Toyota RAV4 Prime, if they had it under $45,000, it would then qualify for incentives across the country from the federal rebate. And if you lived in British Columbia or Quebec, you would get an even larger rebate. And the argument could be made that they maybe don't want it to qualify because then it actually becomes cheaper than a good old RAV4 hybrid, right? That's not going to help them move RAV4s, hybrids, I should say. People might just opt for the Prime and get the discount. So we're going to have to wait and see on the pricing on this. But I think that there's going to be a long lineup of people to get the RAV4 Prime. I think it's going to be an amazing seller for them. Here's the thing. Over at Mitsubishi, what do they have? They have the Outlander PHEV, which has been selling incredibly well in this market here in Canada. I think it even shocked them how many they sold. So what are they going to do this year? I don't have 100% certainty, but I really do think that they're going to come out with an updated version of the same vehicle with more range, okay? If RAV4 is coming out with basically 55 kilometers of electric range, and right now the PHEV has 35 kilometers of electric range, you can almost bet if they're going to do a mild refresh on this, they're going to try and get it closer to that 50 kilometer number, okay? So that's what I think is going to happen. So it's nice to have some competition. PHEV has had the market all to itself. Now you have RAV4 Prime, and that's upping the game for Mitsubishi. All right. Hey, Zach, thank you for the good show. What is your thought about the Atlas Cross Sport? The Atlas Cross Sport is the Atlas, just minus the third row seats and a little sleeker looking back to it. I mean, the Germans have been doing this with pretty much every single model they have in the utilities. You know, they have the Mercedes GLE, they have the GLE Coupe, they have the BMW X3, they have the X4, which is the same kind of thing. And basically, they did it with the Q8. The Q8 from Audi is basically the Q7. Same size vehicle pretty much as the Atlas. Get rid of the third row, give it a sleeker look. That's really what you're playing with here. So if you don't need the third row and you don't mind not having that capability on the off occasion, then go for the Atlas Sport Cross. It's going to have a slightly sleeker look to it. It has tons of cargo space because they got rid of the third row of seats. But still, it's going to be very, very interesting to see who buys it. But the Germans have been doing this for pretty much all of their utilities, giving you a sporty version. That's really what you're getting. Someone's saying the XC is the Volvo and the CX is the Mazda. I can understand the mix-up. Yeah, I often get those mixed up. Mazda 6 or Legacy, all-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive. But now Camry offers all-wheel drive, so which one to choose? Here's the thing about the Camry. The Camry is only available with the 2.5 liter. Okay, if you want the 3.5 liter 6-cylinder in the Camry, it's only front wheel drive. So basically what they're doing is they're taking the RAV4 all-wheel drive system, which is the 2.5 liter, and modifying it for Camry and Avalon production. You can even get that same setup in the Avalon. So yes, all-wheel drive, but only 2.5 liter. Hey Zach, looking at buying a Q50 Infiniti as my son's first car. Is this a good choice? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I would say anything that's used, you have to get it inspected. So first of all, you have to do a Carfax to find out if the car has any claims against it, any major accidents and so on, and then get it inspected by a mechanic, because yes, I could tell you it's going to be fine. You could find one that's been abused and not looked after and could fall apart. Any kind of weak links on that car, the engine's been around for a long time. Transmission is a straightforward, it's not a CVT. Yeah, just make sure you get it inspected. It's a nice size car. It's going to have some substance to it. If you're, in an accident, it's better to be in something a little bit bigger than too small. Hi, Zach. Attended the Canadian Auto Show. Got to know Toyota RAV4 PHEV will be here in the fall. Do you think it's better to consider the Escape? Any issues going forward? Front-wheel drive. I'm not sure what the question is. I'm sorry. I think what you're asking is, should you get the all-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive? It really comes down to resale, in my opinion. I think all-wheel drive is the way to go for resale value. 2014 Q5, an upgrade to Q5 or all-road. The all-road's pretty cool. I really do like that. I like the idea of a station wagon. A lot of people don't. And I get that too. A lot of women don't like station wagons. I love a station wagon. If it was me, it would be the all-road. Hey Zach, Subaru Forester Sport versus 3.2 liter Jeep Cherokee North Active Drive 2. Which one would you choose? Which one is more reliable? I think that the Jeep Cherokee is often overlooked. I will say that Jeep and FCA have been improving the quality of their vehicles over the last few years. You can look up quality scores for yourself, and some of their brands are most improved. I think last year for JD Power, I think FCA was the most improved brand. And here's the thing, a lot of people don't know this. If you look at JD Power's initial quality scores and their dependability scores, there are several Japanese brands that are below the industry average. And there are several domestic car brands that are well above the industry average. If you look at products like Buick, for example, they're often in the top 10. If you look at brands like Subaru and Mazda, they're often below the industry average. So nobody has a crystal ball. The 3.2 liter Cherokee is a smaller displacement engine than the 3.6 liter Pentastar. So that engine has been quite reliable. The weak link with Cherokee is the 9-speed automatic transmission. It's a ZF transmission that is used throughout the industry. There were some initial bugs with it. It wasn't the smoothest, but I think a lot of that has been rectified. When it comes to resale value, hands down, the Forester is going to be better for resale value. So often when I talk about these things, I call it dollars in, dollars out. You're going to buy or lease a Cherokee, you're going to buy or lease a Forester. Which one's going to be worth more at the end of it? Well, clearly Forester. Their resale value on those cars is crazy good. I feel like Acura vehicles are priced high. Are they really worth it? It depends on which one. I think that the MDX is a great product. I think the RDX is very good. Some of their other cars have been around for a long time and need to be refreshed. Have you driven the Avant? I think you're talking about the A4 Avant. Yes, I drove it in Europe when I went for the A4 refresh. I think it was in September I got a chance to drive it. I really like it. Actually, if I was going to buy, for me personally to buy an A4, I would get the all-road, and if because we can't get the Avant. But there you go. This is a question that keeps coming up. Chrysler and Peugeot are now together. Do you think we'll see a future with more French cars? I think we're going to get more French content in the cars. I think that established brands like Jeep are going to remain Jeep. Ram is going to remain Ram. But you can see Ram even brought in the Fiat Dablo and other Ram vans that they sell in other parts of the world and brought them over here to North America, and they've been quite successful. So yes, I could see a place where maybe there's going to be more French content, or a platform or an engine or something that was created for the French or European marketplace making its way here. Are we going to see Peugeot stores popping up? No, I don't believe that's going to happen. I think that FCA learned with Alfa Romeo and Fiat that it's really hard to sell cars in the marketplace without a really strong dealer network and a lot of strong cars. Richard says, hey Zach, I noticed you have your stats in non-metric units now. Why did you succumb? Former Tremblant now from New Jersey. You know what? I was kind of being stubborn about doing just metric, and then I thought to myself, I'll throw people a bone, give them the numbers as well. I really only do it for miles per gallon. That's really what I do. I still do everything else that I can remember anyway in metric. No real reason. I still think that Americans need to get out more and learn that there's a whole big world out there. The last letter in the alphabet is Z everywhere else in the world but the United States. You know, Mazda is how it's said in England and Australia and Canada. It's not Mazda. You know, I think that, you know, being an imperial measure for temperature and the metric system, really, I mean, I don't understand. It's just stubborn at this point. Fahrenheit is just so archaic compared to Celsius. What does Audi... why does Audi bring the Q3 Sportback to North America? I don't understand your question. I got a lot of questions here. I got to catch up. Sorry, I bumped around here. Is February the best time to buy a Cadillac? GM is offering 0% for 60 months or 0.49% for 72 months. I'm looking at XT4. Yeah, I can get employee discount as well. Please help me decide. Ashish Patel, go to Car Cost Canada. I keep telling you this. Go to Car Cost Canada and you will see all of the rebates and discounts, and you will see what's out there and what the dealer paid for the car. I like the XT4. I think it's a fine car. I think they did a good job on the design of that. I don't mind the way it drives. A bit soft for my taste. I like the sport model. If you're going to consider, maybe go for the sport model. But yes, getting the best deal on a car is the best way to find out is go to Car Cost Canada. Oh my God, this is a throwback. Zachary Singh says, hey Zach, congrats on moving to Motoring TV. Enjoys watching you back on driving television. The Hummer wrap was pretty good. So I'm thinking 15 years ago, we did a wrap on the Hummer, on one of the Hummer vehicles. And I was a rapper dressed with gold chains and my hat sideways in a tracksuit, and we came up with this whole wrap, and it was a lot of fun. I don't know if it's online. Maybe it is. It's pretty funny. Hey Zach, do you recommend a new Audi A4 used A8? I'm afraid reliability and paying maintenance on an Audi A8. Here's what happens with the big cars from Germany. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, okay? So 7 Series, S-Class, A8, the big luxury German sedans depreciate so quickly. So yes, you're going to get a deal on an Audi A8, but remember, it doesn't stop depreciating when you buy it. It keeps on depreciating. Large German cars depreciate the fastest. Smaller German cars depreciate the slowest. And you get to a point like you're getting to here and you're thinking to yourself, wait a second, I can get a used A8 versus a nice new A4? That's crazy talk. But that A4 is going to hold its value better than the A8 in the long run. Now, if you're willing to take a flyer and buy like a 7-year-old A8 that's already depreciated down to a very, very low number, then this depreciation curve kind of goes like this, and they flatline. And I know this because I own 2 BMW 7 Series. I owned, was it one or two? I owned a 5 Series BMW, and I bought them when they were a little bit older, and the depreciation curve really flattens out as they get a little bit older. But you have to be prepared to do the maintenance on these cars. I talked about Porsche earlier. These cars are expensive to maintain. If you can get one that's still under warranty, it might be worth considering, but yeah, it's not going to stop depreciating when you buy it. Just be aware of that. Joe says, hey, Zach, I took your advice on the BMW M240. I couldn't be happier. Please keep up the good work. I appreciate that. I think the M240 is hands down the best BMW for the money. There's no question. So I'm glad you like it. What are your thoughts on an Audi Q3 as a daily and a mountain bike hauler? Well, I mean, I'm sure Audi has a roof rack system for your mountain bikes. Why not? Or a roof, or a trailer hitch out the back. There's no problem with it. As a daily, it's fantastic. And yeah, easily if you get a mountain bike rack for the back or the top of it, no problem at all. David T says, my father is getting a 540 X-Drive M Sport to replace his 2010 535. We like the 20-inch rims, but he's afraid of potholes. Think the standard 19-inch that are much better feel same. Is 1 inch immaterial? No, 1 inch is not immaterial. 1 inch makes a big, ask the ladies, 1 inch makes a big difference when it comes to BMWs. I always say, often when I drive a BMWs, I say, please drive the car with the sport package and without the sport package. Drive the car with larger wheels and smaller wheels. It makes a massive difference. And it seems to me that it is most noticeable on the BMW cars. So yes, potholes, it's a worry. Tires are expensive, but you can buy replacement insurance from the dealer for things like wheel and rim damage. So that's something to consider if you're getting the car. It will make a difference in terms of performance. The 20s will perform better, but they'll also give you a bit more of a harsh ride. The 19s will be softer. So try them both. Oh, so someone else has said, to clarify, you can probably get a deal on wheel and tire insurance and get the bigger wheels. There you go. You answered your own question. That's what I would do, is through the dealership, get the wheel and tire package. Just rented a BMW 530 for 3 days in Las Vegas. The road noise on the Runflats was awful. Why does BMW insist on Runflats? This has been a major problem for people who like BMW cars. I've noticed they've gotten better, but some of them are still quite noisy. Why did BMW get rid of the spare tire? Weight. If you've ever lifted a full-size spare out of the trunk of a car, it's quite heavy, okay? By eliminating the spare tire and the wheel and the whole kit that has to go with it, it saves a lot of weight out of the car. That's why they did it. But it's a compromise. I know people who have owned BMWs and have gone away from the Runflats and just put on regular tires and just bought one of those little donut tires and left it in the trunk. And if anything were to happen, you've got the spare tire. You can do that. But yes, you do get, you do kind of get used to it after a while, but yeah, I hear your pain. Julian Major says, do you see more influencers at press events? Often car companies will have what's called an influencer wave, like they have waves of journalists, and often they'll have influencers. Often they're a lot of women actually that are, you know, for lack of a better term, like the mummy blogs or the young women who are into style and fashion. They'll take them, say Cadillac and Lincoln are really quite strong in this regard. Lincoln does a lot with influencers, but we often don't get a chance to mix and mingle with them because they're kept separate. And often they don't get the technical briefings that we get on the cars. It's more about the lifestyle of the car. Hey, you're staying at a nice hotel, you're going for dinner, and by the way, here's a Cadillac to drive or a Lincoln, and we're gonna go whale watching and all that kind of stuff. That's the sort of stuff they do with influence. A lot of them are Instagram, female influencers. That seems to be quite prominent. But obviously the YouTube channels are really growing, and a lot of YouTubers that have just do YouTube are getting invited as well. What do I replace my reliable 2014 QX70 with? I like the Mercedes GLC Coupe, but not a fan of the four-cylinder turbo. Well, Johnny V, go and give it a shot because it's an excellent engine. It really is. And I think that Mercedes with the 9-speed automatic transmission that they have, matched with that four-cylinder turbo, is fantastic. So don't poo-poo it. Go give it a shot. I think that you'll be surprised. It's a very nice car. Heard you're leaving Driving TV. Love the show. What's happening with the show? I don't know. I don't work there anymore. I think they're going to try and soldier on. Congrats on moving to Motoring TV. Do you have any information to the Tiguan will get a better engine? Also plans for EV vehicles in the Volkswagen lineup. Well, Alexandra Cote, hopefully I got that right. Volkswagen is going to be very aggressive with their ID family of electric vehicles starting 2021, not this year, but next year. They're going to be bringing their ID, what is now as a sort of prototype vehicle or concept vehicle being called the Cross. That is going to be coming first. So we're going to get an ID Cross, which is going to be a utility in the next, 24 months. And there, I think, is going to be an update to the Tiguan. Don't know if it's engine related. It's probably going to be a facelift, which is new headlights and tail lamps and maybe some design features, but I don't know anything about the engine. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll find out in Geneva at the motor show. Well, I'm running out of time. I don't get to everybody's questions. I do read them all. So next week, I'm going to be in Las Vegas, flying back on Sunday night. So I won't do this on Sunday. I'll probably do it next Monday before I go and drive that Atlas, and I can tell you all about Corvette then. Okay? So enjoy the rest of your long weekend if you're having a long weekend, and I'll speak to you next week. Keep an eye out for the videos, and we'll chat then. Take it easy.